certain. I know this. Death is inevitable. I know this. But one thing is certain. As free men, it is our right to live unencumbered and in peace. And those times are quickly drawing to an end. And in these times, peace is certainly an illusion. And as the chains grow tighter, our ability to slip those chains increase incrementally with every passing moment. Inaction is no longer an option. It's time to raise our voices like a cacophony of thunder and lightning and tell the masters no more. And this is Nighthawk, and I say, for myself, no more. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, because the freedom is slipping away.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Hey guys, Scorpio here. Join me every Saturday at 2 p.m. here on Studio A for the Scorpio Conspiracy Show, where we discuss the hidden agendas that impact our lives and uncover the secret society.
Was over. Far from ending the Vietnam War, Nixon expanded it into neighboring countries, deepening the conflict at home. In 1970, peace marchers in New York were attacked by pro-war construction workers. Police did little to protect them. Not one to miss a trick. Nixon later appointed the construction workers' union chief, his secretary of labor.
They killed Dirty John McGee on the lone highway.
CPR Street Gang, this is all fighting. Standing by, over. CPR Street Gang, this is all fighting. Standing by, over.
Right now, it's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines,
clocks for now. Time's up.
Wind is blowing cold and dark on the road and no way out. The broken hearts, the smoking gun on the run, on the run.
Ops are usually carried out by our intelligence agencies in countries we've invaded or whose governments we've overthrown, in order to convince the local population that we're there to help them. QAnon is just like that, except the target isn't a foreign population. It's you. And the government we're planning to overthrow is... follow the white rabbit. At the heart of this psyop is Q, a government insider who will give you advance warning about major events, like the arrest of Hillary and deep state leaders, which never happened, and the end of the Democratic Party in 2018, who actually went on to win the House that year. And if years of fake predictions start to get you down, don't worry. Trust the plan. The best part of this psyop is you'll believe you're in a psyop, except that's not the psyop you're actually in, but the psyop where we let you think you're in a psyop. Psyopception. All we have to do is tell Il Duce to say tip top next to a white rabbit. Q-proof. Joining QAnon is easy because at its core there are some truths. Like the media really does lie to you. There really are powerful predators out there, and there really is a global pedophile ring that ritually abuses kids. But as you follow Q's droppings, you'll gradually LARP yourself deep into the rabbit's rectum, where you'll find others who yearn to fight injustice just like you. The 5G crew, the Plandemic crowd, the FEMA camps, and chemtrail folks too. All LARP together into a single LARP we can control. Where we LARP one, we LARP all. In exchange for all this entertainment and newfound sense of purpose, all we ask for in return is your help. No, you fucking idiots, not to arrest Hillary. You see, we have no intention of ceding power at this election. So if it looks like we're winning on election night, we'll declare victory, even though millions of votes are still being counted. And if we're losing, we'll declare the election rigged. Either way, that's your cue to get in the streets and prevent further mail-in ballots from being counted. Just like what happened in Florida when rioters shut down the recount of the 2000 election. Among those rioters was this fuckwit, the same one who is now urging us to declare martial law should we lose the election. And among the lawyers who helped to stop the recount was the same one we're pushing hard to appoint to the Supreme Court right now. Coincidence? Follow the white fuckwit. All this should alarm patriots. Except Q has convinced patriots, even the guy who spent decades warning you about the police stated martial law, that martial law is now a good thing. The only thing that can ruin our plan to repeat 2000 is if there's an overwhelming voter turnout against us, which is why we've been doing all we can to deregister millions of you, purge voter rolls, and close polling stations to make voting as hard as possible. What's that? When do we take down the deep state? Aw, honey. The guy who exposed the real deep state is being tortured by it right now. And where are you? Oh, that's right. Q told you to trust the plan and have a big circle jerk on Aiken. The great awakening. And that's the purpose of QAnon, to convince those who would normally be on the front line of fighting our shitfuckery to sit by and watch as we prosecute your truth tellers, purge your justice system, and rat fuck this election. QAnon. Nothing can stop what's coming, because you'll be sitting on your ass when it does. Authorized by the Department for executing the biggest intelligence drop in U.S. history.
My name's Jimmy, and Into the Microcosm is on the air.
Now that the smoke's gone and the air is all clear, those who were right there got a new kind of fear. You'd fight and you were right, but they were just too strong. They'd stick it in your face and let you smell what they consider wrong. That's why I say, hey man, nice shot. Good shot, man. That's why I say, hey man, nice shot.
Well, did you say that you will? As a flag down your right, I guess I should.
Oh yeah, it's Monday. It's like a breath of fresh air in here. I just had to open a window, just let the fresh air in. Oxygen is such an important ingredient in any healthy human existence. Revolution Radio, we are the #1 listener-supported radio network on the face of the earth, in the ether space and beyond. My name's Jimmy. I'm your friendly narrator and your social engineering decoder. And I've been doing a little bit of work, so might be some wake-up sauce up in this show today. So let me just say, I'm not coming from a position. I'm going to try to show this from as many sides as I can, but I think there's something to pay attention to here in a big way. So I've gone through a bunch of material over the last couple of days, and I've strung together a bunch of pertinent pieces of information that might help you draw some sort of a intelligent conclusion through these times that we're going through now. It's almost impossible. It's literally almost impossible. It's preposterous what's going on. Can you believe it? Can you believe what's actually going on right now? No. It's almost literally unbelievable, and no one can believe it. And yet, I'm driving in my car today. Went to the grocery store, get myself a little bit of something, and listening on my way home to NPR, and I hear a song. I hear a piece on Joe Biden's 100-day plan. huh? Yeah. Joe Biden's got his first 100 days all lined out. Meanwhile, I haven't heard anything coming out of Trump. I see him playing golf. I see Rudy Giuliani sweating black goo. You know, the whole press conference, the only thing anyone on the mainstream pointed out was how weird it was that black goo was dripping off of Rudy Giuliani. And then all of a sudden, next day, they distance themselves from Sidney Powell. So, you know, thing is, the President of the United States, if he has evidence, regardless, it doesn't matter if he's a candidate. If he has evidence, he could seek a warrant and he could get arrests. And so could his man over there at the FBI says that they are not investigating any voter fraud at all in this election. So what's real? What's true? What's not? If you're in the alternative media, you think this stuff's going to just all of a sudden come out and they're going to turn up with these servers. So how was the U.S. military go into a foreign country, into somebody else's business, and pull their servers out? Is that legal? I don't know, man. It sounds a little bit like you probably have to use contractors. You couldn't actually use the military because, I mean, isn't that illegal? I don't know. So many crazy questions. So little time. We don't have much time, and I want to get into this right away. Brandy Lou, are you there?
I think I'm here, Jimmy.
Okay,
I'm not sure, though, because what's going on is so absolutely surreal that sometimes I wonder. Pinch me. I'm dreaming.
I know. Well, believe me, if I wasn't all the way over here, I would pinch you because it's time to wake up, man. It's time for people to just really grasp what's going on because, the reality of the situation now is people are going to have to make decisions about what they're going to do personally when whatever situation arises out of what we have in front of us. We're not halfway there yet. We're not to the point. We're not to the moment of truth yet. The moment of truth is going to come. And when it does, what we're talking about here today on the show makes a difference. It makes it's a discussion I think that needs to be had. So let's get having it. You ready?
Sounds good.
Okay.
I agree.
Bigger phenomenon. What people like Alex Jones and others showed us is that conspiracy theories are an effective political tool. They work. They help shape elections. They help shape public discussion. They help people decide what to believe. Conspiracy theories work.
All across the country, you will see theories out there.
Alex Jones helped usher in a new and dangerous era in American politics.
American conspiracy theories are entering a dangerous new phase.
One where the truth doesn't matter.
COVID-19 is a Joy-Con mobilist bioweapon.
Where political opponents treat each other as mortal enemies.
Hillary Clinton is a damn demon.
Where lies and conspiracies flourish.
Pizzagate is real. Sandy Hook, it's got inside job written all over.
The United States.
Deliberate disinformation. Disinformation is having a theory.
The story of how Alex Jones helped bring conspiracies into the mainstream began on the fringes of America.
Turn it up, Donald J. Trump.
He's going up to the microphones. He's going to be
the Golden Toad.
I assume he'll mention the phone call he received.
Get ready. I tell you, he charges into a goblin's nest.
This is amazing.
As long as he doesn't,
President-elect of the United
as long as he doesn't kiss a goblin, goblins vomit. Catch him in bed with a goblin.
I don't think there's any danger of that.
No, he defeated the goblins. He did it.
Stone and Jones believed that they had been instrumental in getting Donald Trump elected, or that certainly they had driven successful narratives that helped to get him elected.
And he said, "You don't understand. This is just the beginning."
Now we're bound forever. And if we don't deliver this plan and free humanity, we will be bound to the ninth circle of hell. I'm bound to this truth, and I will never stop delivering.
In that moment, it was visible that there was a reaction because he started crying. I mean, his emotions were evident. They were streaming down his face.
I've said it. I've already run my course. I already know my entire life purpose has been completed. I will continue on. But now, I realize I've won.
All right, Austin,
He was a late-night access TV personality in Austin, Texas. An obscure voice peddling outrage.
They are trying to make you dysfunctional. They are teaching you false thought systems.
He began
okay?
as sort of an underground phenomenon.
Society is insane to me, so I am insane
Alex
to your
Jones
average
is kind of
dumbbell.
a bigger phenomenon.
You know, people in Austin would
What
sit
people
home
like
and get
Alex
high in
Jones
the
and
middle of the
others
night
showed
and
us
watch
is that
this crazy
conspiracy
guy
theories are an
vent about
effective political tool.
crazy stuff.
Hillary Clinton is a fascist worker.
Unhinged conspiracy theory rants.
Biological attack is imminent. Imminent.
Political stunts.
They took me into custody and were going to arrest me for disturbing a public meeting.
He was on the fringe.
Because they had nothing.
It used to be that you would have to be somebody who was deep into conspiracy culture to know who Alex Jones was. You'd have to know things about lizard people or teleportation pads. These crazy conspiracy theories.
If you're a lunatic, Alex, then I want my sons and their sons to be lunatics just like you.
That's what we need. Lunacy. You know, the world is flat. Didn't you hear it?
As a boy in Texas, Jones was known as a troublemaker.
Alex inherently has defiance of authorities, so I think it appeals to him that he can maybe change the world in his own way.
The time to come out is now.
As a teenager,
David, don't do this to your people.
he became obsessed with a government raid on a cult compound in Waco, Texas.
He says that opened his eyes, that he came away from that feeling like...
Let me just check all your papers. A routine terror sweep here. I'm Officer Jack Boot. I've got a uniform. Bow down to that.
My name's Jimmy.
Shiny medallions, fancy hat. I've got a uniform. You little piggy. Bow down to that.
Somebody's covers might get pulled today. Nothing personal, man. I'm just throwing this out there. You check it out. Decide for yourself.
Kill everybody. Shining medallions. Come like king. Yeah, I tell you what you do. I've got a uniform. Yeah, on the ground. Bow down to that. We don't learn you good now. Shining medallions. Making it good enough, boy. Lick my boot. I'm a cop. I'm a cop. I'm a cop. Oh, yeah. I'm a cop. I'm a cop.
Yes, sir, boss man. Can I please worship the government better?
That's a vote of non-confidence, you civilian trash. Talking about.
Truth was out there, but it wasn't being presented in the way it ought to be. And he says that's what started him on his mission.
Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines. The information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
No longer is the New World Order some foggy apparition over the next hill.
And at the time, InfoWars was broadcast from a child's bedroom in his house with little choo-choo train wallpaper and an Empire Strikes Back poster on the wall. And Alex is like, ranting down a little microphone in this child's bedroom.
What about me because I'm a woman? I've got to stay?
British filmmaker John Ronson is a renowned expert on extremism. He has been following Jones for more than 20 years.
He was diagnosed as having narcissistic personality disorder. And I think that's a factor, because I think that people with NPD don't need to care as much about the truth and about society as
Who are you to wave your finger? You must have been out your head. I hold deep in muddy waters. you practically raise the dead. Rob the grave to snow the cradle, then burn the evidence down. Soapbox house of cards and glass, so don't go tossing your stones around. You must have been
Today's Alt-Right Unite the Right rally is expected to draw over 6,000 people.
The white supremacist movement shocked the nation with the show of force in Charlottesville, Virginia. They spilled blood in the streets, militant and unafraid.
Panic and horror in Charlottesville. A car slams into a crowd of counter-protesters when a driver plowed into the crowd, killing a young woman and injuring 19.
White supremacists killed one protester and injured dozens of others.
The attempted arrest was caught on camera. The video of last night's confrontation shows a white police officer with his knee pinning down the neck of the suspect.
His name was George Floyd. He's on video saying, "Please, please, I can't breathe." It's a Minneapolis police officer.
We're just like, man, this is crazy. We're already fighting a common terror, which is COVID, and now this now? You know, people were just pissed off, like, this is just ridiculous. How can you kill this man?
No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police.
The outrage began with a video showing an officer kneeling on Floyd's neck.
People have gathered in front of the 3rd precinct.
Sitting here in front of officers who are complicit in the murder of George Floyd.
Thousands packed the area,
protesting the death of George Floyd.
How many times have we watched police officers murder people?
You're numb to it after so many of them. It's been happening for so long.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
But then it's a little different. You're like, wow, that just happened right here on 38th. The fact that it happened in my neighborhood was what really pulled me into it. People are getting angrier and angrier and angrier, and then hold up. We have a whole bunch of police with helmets right in front of us.
Crowds of protesters facing off with officers in riot gear.
Protest turned violent last night.
Overnight protests left parts of downtown in ruins.
What's my point? Well, I'll tell you what my point is. My point is that you're being socially weird, being socially engineered into a corner. Every single group, every single filter bubble is being inflamed to a point of being ready to blow. So that's what the point is. So let's listen to the evidence here. Let's listen to the whole thing and decide when we're all finished at the end. You come to a conclusion about what you think is going to happen. But I'm going to show you right now how you were socially engineered over there at InfoWars/Palantir. My name's Jimmy.
Multiple fires were set, windows smashed, and stores looted.
But the country's culture wars and growing populist anger. In hard-right politics, he was becoming a player.
And the minute people are aware of it, it's over for you. I'm Brock.
This is how they try to start the revolution.
Alex Jones appeals to the worst parts of society, and he looks for all the terrible things in society, racism, sexism, misogyny, and he exploits them for his own benefit.
This is what they're trying to get going. This is a race war. This is exactly what we predicted.
Jones unabashedly exploited race, stoking fear
of nothing but white people's cars being stopped by mobs of black people.
Sounding alarms.
Record numbers of Muslims are being brought in from countries known to be radicalized and who want to attack.
Alex Jones is able to tap into some real deep, dark fears that white Americans explicitly have about the future of their country, who's in it, who's controlling it, and their placement in it.
He was promoting a politics of conspiracy and lies that would find its moment.
If I could just talk to an FBI agent, like individually or something like that, if I could get my computer as resources, I could show them like all these channels and stuff like that.
So on your computer, there's the stuff that you've been a part of.
You could find encrypted channels. You could find names easily. It'd be very easy to identify who these people are.
So you think having an FBI agent, as you requested, sit down and go over this stuff, you think then you would open some eyes?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think that it would open some eyes to a much bigger thing than what happened today. And I think that could definitely, basically save a lot of lives.
It's unclear what the authorities did in response to Arthur's plea to investigate Adam Waffen. He tells me he left Adam Waffen and has renounced Nazism. He won't go on camera for an interview. But using information from the chat logs, I'm able to identify other hate camp participants. One of them agrees to talk to me. He's a 20-something Army veteran who asks me to call him Jeremiah. He came back from a combat tour damaged and angry.
There were a lot of people that were disenchanted with the mission. I'd say about half the guys in my unit. I think a lot of guys, they're lost and they want hope. They're looking for answers.
How big would you say the white nationalist movement is within the armed forces?
There's a good amount of them. They keep quiet about it, especially when they're in. You can get in a lot of trouble. Going onto Facebook, I never mentioned the military.
How did the group regard combat veterans and service members?
We definitely wanted to appeal to veterans. We would say they had the fighting spirit that the National Socialists of the 1920s had, that the people of the alt-right lack. Take an average 19-year-old from Adam Waffen. His only experience of war is video games versus some guy like me who knows how to handle himself in a war. People looked up to the military guys. You were at least using the training that they had given you to hit back at them.
When you guys did do training, what kind of training was it? What did you learn? What kind of skills were shared?
My name's Jimmy. I'm taking a look at extremist groups culminating behind an ideology put forth mainly in the alternative media. I mean, the thing about it is that people in the alternative media are under the impression that the rest of the world is privy to the same information that they are, and they've made a decision that they want to go with evil, and that's not the truth. The truth of the matter is that the mainstream media and people that listen to it have no idea about any of this stuff that's going on. None of these accusations that have been made have materialized anything. They've all just been empty accusations and empty promises. My name's Jimmy. It's into the microcosm. We'll be back in a few after the break. I gotta go outside and see if I can find I left my hot steaming cup of positive attitude somewhere out in the backyard. Be back. Sorry, Brandy. We got lost in the morass of everything going on there, and so we got about 13 minutes left of this next piece, and then there's another piece that's literally is 30 minutes long. So we're gonna have to try to get in a word in edgewise here. You there?
Yes,
Yeah.
you've brewed up some deep, dark
brew here.
I know. So I'm just keeping an eye.
Is that what was rolling off of Giuliani's face?
Black goo.
I didn't notice that. Are you guys speaking like literally, or you're making a joke?
No, because he was up under the lights and everything, and he was sweating. And so I guess they must have sprayed some hair dye on him or something. You know how they have that stuff you can wash out? So they must have, they must have sprayed him with something. And then he was under the lights and he was sweating real bad. And he's like, it started to dribble down his head. He said everybody was made a big.
That's how I'm wiping for sure.
Yeah, I made a big deal about it. So I wasn't gonna. So I wasn't gonna run this piece about SWAT. And hang on a second, I gotta check this.
Workers' Union Chief, his Secretary of Labor.
Hang on.
Did little to protect them. Or construction workers. 1970, peace marchers in New York were attacked by. In 1970.
Okay. So I'm just going to show this this has been tried before. The same exact groups have lined up against each other. It's the silent majority, Nixon, silent majority, the hard hat construction workers versus the hippies, and it's the same thing today. It's the same patriotic American silent majority against the millennials. The same exact thing. It's social engineering, man. They're triggering it. They're triggering this shit to happen. Right. There's nothing natural about any of this, and they're inflaming these extremist groups till somebody's going to go off, man. And people have gone off, and they don't talk about it. They just let it lie. All right, we don't know. Oh shit! We got to go back. I'm fucked. Hold on. Got no music ready.
Want to learn more about the Marxist agenda and other important stuff? Listen to The Ultimate Remedy with L.B. Bork. Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern. Right here on Revolution Radio.
It's too late to fall in love with Sharon Tate. But it's too soon to ask me for the words I want called on my tune. I think it's time that you all start to think about getting by without that need to go out and find somebody to love.
My name's Jimmy. It's Revolution Radio. We're fully listener supported. Mosey on over. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Become a patron. There's 33 people in the chat. Monday, Train, Jack Bop, Lolly, Pat Rabbit, Eagle Flower, the Krakens over there. Valerie, K-Sweet. Hey, what's up, K-Sweet? Dry Fly Guy. K-Sweet's got a show here with Bridget. I think it's on. I'm not sure what day it's on, but check that schedule because you definitely want to check that one out. Dry Fly Guy, What's Happening, Hazardous Waste, Blasphemous Buddhist, Somebody, Wall E, Stardust Man, Boy Solomon, Festus B, Monster, an old guy's in there, Boots, Comet, Popsicle Toes, Mr. Rowe, Batsman, Surrey Sunflower, Geno 2017, Not Much to It, Mace 139, and Jer Bear. What's happening, man? So like I said, head on over freedomslips.com, become a patron. If you're not into becoming a patron, bounce on down to the Zazzle store. You can walk in, check it out, and walk out with some gifts for the holidays coming up. So I'm sure you're going to be spending them at the house. So the thing is forget about going out there and exchanging all that filthy, dirty money. You don't want to exchange that filthy, dirty money. It's got germs all over it. Spend some of that money plastic. Send it ether style over here. Grab a Zazzle store item. Put something in your hand. Support the station. And last but not least, and one of the most important, if you don't like electronic interaction, mosey on down to the bottom of the web page. You'll find the address to send snail mail to Lady Horse. It's right down there. So don't be afraid. step into the Revolution Radio family and become a patron. It's the best way. The archives are free. Any shows you want to go back to, if you want to get triggered by some of the shows that I've done, I'd be happy to go back into the archives. No, I'm not trying to trigger anybody. I'm just trying to show everything is everything. Look, every single one of the groups that has an axe to grind is ready to drop bombs, man. And I mean, it looks like we're in a situation, and it looks to me like there's been a lot of social engineering coming out of someplace that everybody trusts. And the bottom line about that is, Roger Stone didn't just appear over at InfoWars by accident. Roger Stone appeared over at InfoWars at a precise moment after they made decisions about Alex Jones's audience. And we're going to show some stuff in the next little segment here is going to blow you away. Alex Jones was actually giving dialogue to Trump. He was writing dialogue for Trump's campaign and his lead up, and that's why the Patriot community was so infatuated with Donald Trump. It's because he was saying all the things we wanted to hear. It's just like Hillary saying, if I get elected, I'm gonna release the documents on the UFOs for a bunch of suckers to go down and vote for her because they think she's actually gonna do it. Come on, man.
Going to the range, clearing rooms, medical, how to wage an effective insurgency. A lot of the Iraq and Afghan war vets, they took what they saw the Taliban or Al-Qaeda in Iraq doing and applied it to what's going on here. Jews were the #1 enemy. We would say the Jews were the virus, and the people of color, the homosexuals, they were the symptoms.
So I'm walking Division 2, a Nazi extremist group seeking to spread terror. The main thing is lone wolf activity.
When you say lone wolf attacks, it sounds to me like you're talking about basically terrorist acts.
Yeah, they don't see themselves as terrorists, rather they see the United States as the ultimate terrorist. Like what Adolf Hitler said, how do you meet terrorism? You meet it with stronger terrorism. Waffen is made up of about 60 guys, and then you have what is called initiates. That guys were in the process of becoming members, and in order to become a member, you have to prove yourself.
So how many initiates would you say there are?
Or were. When I left, there was more initiates than there were members. That tells you anything. All it takes is one guy to snap in to do something like that. That's what Dylan Roof said. I'm tired of saying nothing done in the white nationalist community, so I'm going to take a stand, and I'm going to go into church, and I'm going to kill all these bad people.
First of all, I want to thank you because nobody has been more effective in terms of revealing the secret game plan of the party kingmakers.
Roger Stone was a notorious political operator.
Roger Stone is a self-described dirty trickster.
A career dating back to Richard Nixon.
Has a tattoo of Nixon on his back.
There's a reason why him being tied to Nixon is key to this exact discussion, because they're running the same exact script they ran when Nixon was president. Same exact lines are drawn in America. Same exact boiling points are here. As a matter of fact, here. Are you familiar with something, anybody familiar with something called the Hard Hat protest? Yeah, it was a protest that happened in New York City. Let me grab this thing. So there was riots in New York City. There's a bunch of hippies protesting, and a bunch of hard hats came out, and they said, no more. We went to war. We fought for this flag. We're not having it. You're marching around carrying communist flags. We're not having it, you dirty commies. And so this is what happened here.
1970, peace marchers in New York were attacked by pro-war construction workers. Police did little to protect them. not one to miss a trick. Nixon later appointed the Construction Workers Union chief, his Secretary of Labor.
Nixon came to symbolize the way Americans divided themselves. Basically, the people who identify with Nixon and the people who despise Nixon are structurally the map of our red and blue states today.
There it is. Okay, so that's from 1970. So, I mean, there it is, man. I mean, come on. This is like kiddie games. If you don't see this, you don't see this, man, I don't know. Here.
Roger is singular in the political landscape. He is a bodybuilding, pot-smoking dandy swinger who has had a profound impact upon shaping all of our lives through his savvy and cunning as a political consultant.
He was the chairman of Donald Trump's exploratory campaign. If we talked to Trump this morning, you were
Okay, so because Roger Stone has a name, Alex Jones is the type of person that he wants to be legitimized by anybody who is in the system who has any kind of gravitas. Alex Jones will get them on there and milk them for their legitimacy, and thereby, insinuating that he is somehow legitimate because he's talking to these big, high-minded people that have been in the government. Okay, so what it is they're legitimizing each other, and they had figured out that this was going to be a key, that the Jones operation, the info war, was going to be a key player in having the election go in a certain direction.
Telling me off air, Trump's for real.
In 2015, Stone had an insight that Alex Jones's audience could help Donald Trump.
You can't buy Trump. You can't bully Trump.
Alex Jones is a character, and he has a very, very large, very, very loyal following out there in the blogosphere.
Let's speak of the devil.
Alex Jones and Roger Stone created the mythos of the Trump delusion about what people think is actually going on in Trump's head. Like when he sits down and he's, thinking off in the sky. It's because he's just, all his main mission in life and all he can think about is saving the world and saving America and arresting all those pedophiles and, putting everybody in their place and draining the swamp and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And you know what, man? 4 years later, who's in jail? Huh? Nobody. Oh, wait, they're in jail, but secretly, right? They were secretly arrested and taken away? Yeah, come on, man.
Hillary Clinton for prison shirts. We're only selling it limited edition.
His people are very dedicated. They're very loyal.
It just looks like a campaign shirt. Hillary for prison 2016.
Stone was getting a big platform out of Jones.
Where do you want to start, Mr. Stone?
Stone could come on Jones's show and talk to what would ultimately be millions of people. I think that Jones was getting some type of validation from Stone.
They can call us conspiracy theorists. As you know, that's a way to try to discredit us. All we are is truth tellers. We speak from the heart, like Donald Trump. We speak from the heart and let the chips fall where they may.
As the first Republican primaries approached, Donald Trump was a long shot. Stone wanted him to make an important connection.
Well, I don't usually get butterflies about a guest on the show. Donald Trump is our guest, ladies and gentlemen, for the next 30 minutes or so. He is the leading 2016 Republican presidential contender, Donald Trump.
It was a signal to Jones's literally millions of followers that Trump was the man to support in the Republican primary.
And I've got so many.
The thing about it is, the smirk on Roger Stone's face. He can barely contain himself from throwing a $1 million smile about how proud he was of himself that he went to Trump and told him that, hey man, if we can get Jones on board, we will start to really make some headway. Because what he did is he took all the same lines, all the same stuff that we hear day in and day out over on the info war, with the same stuff we hear day in and day out. All of a sudden we start hearing Trump. in his speeches saying the same thing. Why did all the patriots all of a sudden go back to the left-right paradigm, man? Why did we stop looking at everything, man? Because we were sitting back, trusting the plan, waiting for something? Yeah, we should have been applying pressure the whole time. Where's the arrest? Where's the arrest? Oh, well, that's right. He couldn't be doing any of that stuff because he has a perfect excuse because, well, the darn Democrats were trying to impeach him the whole time, so he just couldn't get anything done. Do you think that that's not a plan, man? Why do you think they exposed the whole Joe Biden thing in Ukraine? No one ever said a word about it, except for barely in the election. Come on, man.
Any questions? But first off, Donald, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alex. Great to be with you.
Trump recognized the power of Alex Jones's audience and Alex Jones's base and had mirrored a lot of Alex Jones's policies and rhetoric in achieving and getting to that front runner status in the first place.
I know now from top people that you actually are for real.
Alex was only too happy to play sycophant.
Is epic. It's George Washington level. And you understand that all.
And Trump basked in the glow of his adulation. And so I think it was purely transactional, and it worked out great for both of them.
I just want to finish by saying your reputation's amazing. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope.
He said, I have so much admiration for you. You have such an audience. I mean, this is what Trump cared about. You have such influence. We're going to be talking a lot. I'm going to be relying on you.
I hope you can help uncripple America. Thank you so much, sir. That you will be attacked for coming on, and we know you know that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Alex Jones, like President Trump, they come from this fringe. They come from a place that people maybe poked fun of them. They come from this place where people maybe didn't take them seriously, but they claw their way to the center of American politics.
They've destroyed our economy.
Roger delivers legitimacy to Alex Jones, and Alex Jones delivers to Trump a disaffected voter that Trump desperately needed to bring to the polls in order to win. And that was, I think, in a lot of ways, the difference maker.
And they inflamed you, calling you deplorables and calling you all these stuff. And it's like they played us like a fiddle, man. They played us like a fiddle. And the thing is, man, is like, oh yeah, well, you know, the thing is you can go over there to InfoWars and you can hear half of the alternative media is an echo chamber of the same viewpoints that Alex Jones puts forward, just staying just this side of the line. You know, hey man, you know, well,
Jones boasted about his impact on the candidate.
And I'll tell you, it is surreal to talk about issues here on air and then word for word hear Trump say it 2 days later.
I mean, sometimes it was like verbatim, like, really, Trump? Really? You're taking his word for it? You don't have anybody else around you?
As we've been saying for 3 years, Hillary is the founder of ISIS along with Obama.
He founded ISIS. And I would say the co-founder would be crooked Hillary Clinton.
So Alex Jones is writing dialogue for the president. Alex Jones writing dialogue for the president on his way to being the president to enthrall and infatuate the patriot community, to put you in a state of slumber. Man, you took the glasses off, man. You were on point for 8 years. You figured out, man, my man's in the office now. I can just kick back and take a break. Well, guess what, man?
Was Cruz's father linked to the JFK assassination? Cuban, hired by Lee Harvey Oswald, bears striking resemblance to Cruz.
And, you know, his father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald's being, shot. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous.
And I think it was a superpower trip for Alex that was irresistible.
So he's going to use executive orders to go after our guns.
The president's thinking about signing an executive order where he wants to take your guns away. You hear it this way.
Someone in the mainstream, Trump, using the words that Jones had been using for decades, I think that emboldened Jones and it changed him as a personality.
These people are not frickin' humans, okay? Hillary Clinton is a demon damned to hell.
He made a deal with the devil. She's the devil. He made a deal with the devil.
Big shock was Alex having the ear of a president-to-be. That was the biggest shock. Of all the people I've interviewed over 35 years, I can think of a lot of people I would rather have the president's ear than Alex Jones. It's a bit of a shame that one of the most spiraling people I've ever met is the one who's influencing Trump.
2016 Republican National Convention.
Almost 2 decades after peddling conspiracy theories on late-night cable TV,
All right, let's just cover this thing.
Alex Jones arrived at the Republican National Convention.
That summer was particularly important for Jones because he was on the rise at the time.
I come to see Alex Jones. Put that on CNN.
God bless you, brother. God bless you, Alex. Thank you.
Normally, you would expect Alex Jones to be outside the barricades with a bullhorn, but all of a sudden, there he was, making his way through. He was a part of things because this was an administration that not only embraces people like him and like Roger Stone and people who were kind of, practicing the sort of conspiratorial dark arts. Conspiratorial thinking is a feature of this president.
Inside the convention, Jones immediately sought out controversy. He crashed the set of a live left-wing television show.
So this is, he walks in, he basically walks straight up, he goes right to the Young Turks and brings out a shirt. It's like a T-shirt, and it says Hillary for prison or whatever, and then it immediately inflames the dude, and he gets pissed off. But this is really just was there to make for Alex Jones to make a big, splash when he hit the door. Just doing what he does, and it's exactly what they wanted him to do, and he was doing what he needed to do in order to get the attention he needed to get from all of us. Look at him, he's going after those dirty liberals or whatever. It's playing right into our bias, our cultural bias, because we're conservative. Just because you're conservative doesn't mean you're a right-wing extremist. But all Trump supporters are being painted as right-wing extremists, even though you're not. They're painting people that listen to Alex Jones as distraught, disgruntled, downtrodden people. Not all people that listen to Alex Jones are that. But there are a lot of disaffected people that find a resonance in what's going on over there that drives them into a certain perspective that really just shapes the perception of the audience.
That it overcomes every other demographic advantage Hillary has.
Come sit in your lap.
Oh,
how's it going?
Hey, Alex Jones, how you doing?
See you, man. You're like,
okay.
Jones had a contentious relationship with the Young Turks. They both decided to interrupt their live show. There were people everywhere, and I remember trying to hold my camera up to film what was going on. There were people scrambling everywhere, people screaming at each other.
Let me explain something, all right? Okay.
It was a spectacle. It was ridiculous. But honestly, that was par for the course. That was daily life with Jones.
What do you think? The lizard people are in charge? No. Is that what you think? Hey, you're pissed.
For him, it was always like, let's create chaos. Because chaos is entertaining, and people are going to tune into that.
And they just decided to go.
The whole Michelle Malkin thing, you remember that when he was walking through the Malkin thing? So,
go for it.
This is a publicity stunt, man. This publicity stunt gets played over and over with a different crowd, with a different situation, but he just played this out again with this bullhorn and this whole thing, with the whole vote thing. He's just playing it out, man.
They had a preternatural sense that would be a big to-do. The objective is always to get clicks, to get eyeballs, and to convert that into financial gain.
Chaos, conflict, conspiracy. In 2016, Jones and Stone were rewriting the playbook of American politics.
And that was another moment where you realize this whole landscape has changed. And these individuals that could so easily be dismissed have become a force to be reckoned with.
Person, but with Hillary, there's not even the same universe. I mean, she is an abject, psychopathic demon from hell.
With Election Day looming, on InfoWars, Jones went all in attacking Hillary Clinton.
People loved this conspiracist claim. If you needed more to lock her up, he was the more. But it was really a portrait of her as a woman who would do anything. Anything.
I will warn you, this story that's been the biggest thing on the internet.
So they got you all salivating. He got you all whipped up, you know, saying all this stuff that everybody that hates Hillary just loves to hear. You're rubbing your hands together, licking your lips, salivating, jamming popcorn in your face. Okay?
Is a rabbit hole that is horrifying to go down. Now, this is tied into Podesta.
Got you all hyped up, and he's like, I'm going to lock her up. Everybody's yelling, lock her up, lock her up. Where is she, man? Is she locked up? Is she locked up? No. And a bunch of accusations got made and never got answered, did they? No. So it's just accusations, right? So maybe the whole thing's just made up. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying maybe it is. You know, when people make accusations and people don't answer, it's just, you know, empty accusations. It doesn't mean because they didn't answer that it's true. It just means that if they were to answer at all, they would get caught up in it, and then they'd have to get caught up in it.
With thousands of emails with, we're going to have the 6-year-old, the 7-year-old.
It was an internet conspiracy theory, sparked by stolen emails from Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, claiming that references to cheese pizza were code for child pornography.
Why did the Podesta emails mention the code word pasta for either little boy or sex 78 times? Code word cheese for little girl 85 times.
They were ready to believe just about anything about Hillary Clinton.
Do you think I'll do better playing dominoes on cheese than on pasta?
The belief that evildoers are meeting in secret to abuse children is really old. It's the blood libel. The best known example of that is from the Middle Ages. It's the idea that Jews were meeting in secret to murder Christian children and use their blood in rituals. And we can see elements of the blood libel in a lot of conspiracy theories, even through the present day.
On Twitter, they called the blood libel #Pizzagate.
Come out with Podesta going to rituals where they drink blood and urine and semen.
Oh my gosh, Jones is having the time of his life.
My name's Jimmy. It's into the microcosm.
I told you the bitch was no good.
You know, so we're gonna be back. Only got an hour left to make the rest of this information available to you, so we can't really waste too much time. I'm just letting the situation speak for itself. I mean, I got plenty to say on all of this, believe me. But take no reference from the material and try to decide what you think I think or what my idea about all this is. I know what I think, but I'm not telling what I think. I'm showing you this information, and you make your own decision, you know? That's how it works around here. My name's Jimmy, Revolution Radio. Be back. All right, we're out of there. Sorry, I got the wrong song, but that's okay, because then I can play the other one when I come back. Come on in, Brandy. Sorry about that.
That's okay. You don't need to apologize. It's heavy stuff, and we just kind of need to let it get out there and lie.
Yeah, I'm going to put the mic down for a second. I got to use both hands.
Okay, go for it.
Why don't you say hi to everybody over at the chat? I haven't had a chance to be over there. I've been busy.
Yeah. Pull you guys up here. It's good to see everybody, and everybody's just kind of hanging out. Corolla, nice to have you here. Robin, hey Robin. John, good to see ya. Zoe, as always, we love having you here with us. AJ, it's good to see you too. And I know there's some of you I've missed, but we're always glad to have everybody here. And I know what we're talking about tonight's a little bit heavy, but it's important that we consider everything. It's important that we keep our eyes and our ears open, not just listen to what everybody's saying and decide, yeah, definitely that's the way. Because the reality is that we are all just a bunch of people living here on this earth, sharing space, sharing time. None of us is infallible. People make mistakes. People do stupid things. People do evil things and can get real dumb sometimes. And in the mix of that, there's also kindness and love. So don't forget that.
Hey,
And
hey, Brandy.
yeah, I just wanted to say, have hope.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. We have some stuff we want to talk about. We had a couple different things we're going to talk about tonight, but this is already dragging out too long. So please stick around here. After, if we don't get to this stuff during the show, stick around because we have some real important stuff we want you guys to hear about, before we go. So, and Brandy spent a bunch of time putting it together, but it's like I said, we're already behind schedule. So I got 30 minutes more of evidence here, and it's going to be rough because we only have 27 minutes. I want that to end just right. So hold on a second. Let me get in here. I gotta kind of see as much as I can get out. Hold on, I gotta make this bigger. Anyways, let me do this.
You're at 59.
Okay, thanks.
It's up at the top of the hour.
Okay, here we go.
Time, that's 8 p.m. Eastern. No topic taboo, no subject too strange. I strive to take a neutral standpoint during the dissection of the topic at hand. That's Reality Extraction with Mr. Rowe on Revolution Radio. Can anybody hear me?
Hey, can anybody hear me? Is anybody out there?
Is anybody out there? My name's Jimmy, dishing up a hard pill. Hard pill, ladies and gentlemen, hard pill to swallow.
To me, every color of the rainbow, I was blessed by high decree. You were every moment's magic, joy beyond compare. You were all the rays of sunlight, I was lost without a care. Victims of the fury.
A lot of people that were disenchanted with the mission. I'd say about half the guys in my unit. I think a lot of guys, they're lost and they want hope. They're looking for answers.
How big would you say the white nationalist movement is within the armed forces?
There's a good amount of them. They keep quiet about it, especially when they're in. You can get in a lot of trouble. Going onto Facebook, I never mentioned the military.
How did the group regard combat veterans and service members?
We definitely wanted to appeal to veterans. We would say they had the fighting spirit that the National Socialists of the 1920s had.
Of course, that was daily life with Jones.
What do you think, the lizard people are in charge? Is that what you think? Hey, your parents
For him, it was always like, let's create chaos. Because chaos is entertaining, people are going to tune into that.
Hillary Clinton is one of the most vicious serial killers the planet's ever seen.
Of a civil war looms. Gun sales have soared, so much so that there have been reports from gun stores in some cities that guns and ammunition are no longer available. At this moment, for every 100 American citizens, there are 120 guns across mainland United States. It almost seems, when you look at it from the outside, that America seems to be preparing for a kind of civil war. This is not going to be an ordinary peaceful election. That, at least in the United States, there is apprehension that over the next several hours and days, the situation in the US could get violent and grim.
Arming and securing. Not just the ordinary Americans, non-scalable fencing is also built around the world's most powerful address. America is making a choice between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. The circumstances are unprecedented in American history. A country battling its worst public health crisis in a century. Inflamed passions over race. And job losses. If all that wasn't enough, Trump has partly stoked concerns with his repeated claims that the presidential election could be rigged because of prolonged count of postal ballots.
I think it's a terrible thing when ballots can be collected after an election. I think it's a terrible thing when people or states are allowed to tabulate ballots for a long period of time after the election is over. Because it can only lead to one thing, and that's very bad. You know what that thing is. I think it's a very dangerous, terrible thing. And I think it's terrible when we can't know the results of an election the night of the election in a modern-day age of computer.
As fears of post-election violence loom in the United States, gun sales have surged across America. The owner of this firearms store in the battleground state of Pennsylvania says his wares are flying off the shelf.
I'll tell you, the current environment as far as guns go, if you took everything that Obama did, everything that Clinton did, and all the school shootings, and combined them all, they would not equal what's going on right now in the firearms industry. That's how much greater this is this time.
America has more guns in the hands of civilians than it has civilians. About 120 guns per 100 people. According to official data, firearm sales are up by 80% in swing states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin this year.
A number of militias have come up through the country, and they promise to go around polling places to keep the peace. This is, according to Democrats, one way of intimidating their voters. According to Republicans, one way of protecting their rights.
With healthcare, employment, and peace at greater risk than ever from a potential unrest, Americans are boarding up their properties. That's how storefronts across the US are preparing for threats ranging from possible spontaneous attacks to planned violence.
Reports show that millions of guns have already been sold. And the fear is being driven on both sides. There are people who say that they are scared of people who have been protesting racial injustice. And then there are people who say they are scared of the right-wing militias, which they have sometimes seen on the streets during protests. So this uncertainty is driving the gun sales and benefiting the gun rights and the powerful gun lobby of this country.
Trump's objections to mail-in voting has impacted his supporters. Remember, Americans have rushed to vote early. More than 95 million cast their ballots already before the election day. Tempers are running high.
We've been getting middle finger stuff thrown at us all for the past hour and a half that we've been here.
An unsettling sensation in the countdown to the election day. With Aviruk Sen in Texas and Pratiksha Gildial in Washington, Bureau Report, India Today.
Ratings were plummeting. Protesters were massing outside the White House. In the Rose Garden that day, he would go to his playbook, fan the flames.
Our nation has been gripped by
staff on the NSC and the Centers for Disease Control were raising red flags about what was happening in China. The president was determined not to hear any bad news.
But we have done an incredible job. We're going to continue. It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear.
This unwillingness to think about the implications meant there was no strategic.
And in the midst of the pandemic, once again, racial strife.
Get up, get in the car.
Mama.
Get up and get in the car right.
Get off of him now. What the?
Bro, he's not moving.
George Floyd, killed by police.
And that opens the floodgates.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
What we saw in the days and weeks to follow that was this confluence of these multiple factors. The deeply, deeply frustrated Black Lives Matter movement, of like particularly incendiary video.
Trump's approval ratings were plummeting. Protesters were massing outside the White House. In the Rose Garden that day,
I'm sitting on the corner of Pennsylvania and 17th Street. And I start coughing and choking, and I start wondering what's going on. And I look up, and it's clouds of smoke, and it's officers throwing some sort of chemical gas that is making my throat and my eyes burn, and I see people running. And this line of police officers coming, and they're clearing the streets. And I'm completely confused because I'm wondering, why is the White House doing this?
then the president left the Rose Garden for a dramatic TV moment.
I felt badly for...
The same as Alex Jones when he went over and got in a fight with the liberals. This is the same kind of moment.
Some of the people who were in that march, I've been asked what I would do, and I've said I probably would have gone along. How am I going to say no? And then I would have felt very badly about it later. But that's an effect Trump has on people.
Really, it's just a picture. It's just an image of the president being in charge. And that's his vision of what the president is, the guy in charge.
As part of our Distract from How Many of You Were Getting Killed policy, we'll be telling you the real threat to America is minorities demanding not to be murdered by cops. And to make you feel safe, we've deployed a secret police force to kidnap people off your streets without probable cause. Some call that taking a dump on the Constitution, but we call it law and order. Thanks to all the well-armed militias cheering us on, as we literally do the one thing the Second Amendment was supposed to prevent. What's that? People are looting in the streets? Oh, darling. The real looting is the one we're doing right here. As part of our exploit this crisis to funnel wealth from the poor to the rich policy. Like, remember when we told you COVID was no big deal, so we could buy ourselves just enough time to sell off our personal stocks before the crash which we knew was coming? Phew. Or when we passed the biggest bailout package in history, which funneled shit tons to corporations and easily forgivable loans. We even gave billions to churches bankrupted by sex abuse scandals. Even the I Love Small Government Rand Institute got some of the loot. But hey, don't forget that single barely above minimum wage check we sent you. You know, the one you simply handed over to your landlord to pay the rent, who in turn handed it to a bank to pay their mortgage, which is how we laundered another $1 trillion to banks through the working class. Profits made, profits kept. Now millions of you face homelessness, and 1 in 5 families are going hungry. But look on the bright side. Billionaires regained $500 billion of their wealth. We're not in this together. If you survive till November, be sure to re-elect us so we can get the rest of you killed in the looming climate and extinction crisis. You know, that other crisis we're ignoring and plan to profit from obscenely at your expense. Trump 2020. Fuck you. Of course, we realize that after lying to you, robbing you, and getting your loved ones killed, some of you might be contemplating not voting for us. But don't worry. That's why we've adopted our deregister millions of you policy, as well as our close polling stations, file lawsuits, and let's spread bullshit about voter fraud policy. And if that's still not enough, well, maybe we'll just cancel the election. Trump 2020. Now get back to work, America. Our stocks won't make themselves go up, you pieces of shit. God bless America, except Portland and Chicago.
My name's Jimmy.
Lyrics on the paper with the pen, even though he makes the record spin. Islam drops the beats that you rock to. Thought that I would never get you, got you. Dog on the floor like you know you never done before. How could a brother be so hardcore and still keep you on the floor like a maniac? That's your question? Well, I'ma answer that. I'm on the mic tonight. I'm here to do it right. Ice, the capital T, airtight. Coolest of the cool. I'm back on a mission. Step to me, fool. You're missing, mine is gone, pow. You're out of here, this ain't no game to me, this is my career. Throw me a mic, plug it in, bet. I won't be happy till the dance floor's wet. I ain't no rookie, I'm a microphone vet. Evil Lee's on the set, hit the deck. Easy on the button. Easy on the button. Easy on the button. No mistakes allowed.
Sin to the microcosm. It's Revolution Radio. That's Ice-T. Evil E's on the set. You better hit the deck. That's right. Well, Brandy. There it is. There's the information. Looks like we're being engineered into a situation where we're going to find ourselves in the same type of situation where brother against brother, father against son, daughter against mother. All of these things coming up here on Thanksgiving. And I think it's real important to try to find a way to find something to be thankful for. But right now, I mean, I'm a little bit discouraged. I think that the disillusionment campaign and the demoralization campaign may be starting to set in for a lot of folks. Like I said earlier, the mainstream is moving forward like Biden's going to be sitting in the White House on January 21st. Go ahead.
It is. And I think to kind of put some perspective here, it's like I was saying when we were on the break, that this is a world full of people. We're sharing our space together. There's always been this conflict, and it ebbs and flows and ebbs and flows. And every generation can look back and say, hey, we've never seen anything like this before. Having said that, though, I really can't think of a time in history when it's been quite this calculated. Now, what I'm not sure about is when I hear all this stuff being said, it's who's doing it. who is really doing it? We just do not know the truth. So honestly, we're all going to have to kind of be out for ourselves for a while. That's just the way it's going to have to be. I look back to the, medieval times, kind of like that, where you literally, you had to fight over an onion or a loaf of bread. And I hate to say maybe we're headed toward that, but in sort of at least a not literal way, but sort of figurative way, it's like that we're going to have to just really be prepared to stand for what we believe in and be ready maybe to fall on our sword if we have to.
Well, I mean, over the last couple of days, man, I've seen, I've done quite a bit of shows on these old time events to take a look back at things that happened. And over the years, I've done shows on all of the events, the shootouts, the riots, the different riots at different times. And I've shown over and over again, unequivocally, that these riots and this unrest always starts because of the same thing. And then a bunch of stuff happens, but nothing ever happens to really solve the issue, the reason that it got started in the first place. It just gets forgotten about after the headlines fade, but so if you look back over time, just from as far as the conspiracy movement or the truth movement or the 9/11 truth movement, whatever you want to call it, since the beginning of that, Alex Jones been on the forefront of that. So, he's the one who's out there, like he says, he's the tip of the spear. So, people that have been around the conspiracy movement and people, whistleblowers and this and that, all these people, lots of people have gone down. Every single time a viable person shows up, and it doesn't matter where they are. Like, for example, last night I looked at Wounded Knee, when the American Indian movement wanted to police their own land, just almost exactly mirroring what the Black Panthers were saying. Black Panthers saying, man, your police are not coming in and doing their thing in here, shooting our people. We're going to walk around. We got the right to carry arms. We're going to walk around and carry those arms and, make sure you don't do anything. You don't hurt our people. And it was the same thing American Indian movement was doing. And what did they do, the Black Panthers, man? They shot them up, and they shot them up in such a way that it ended up causing a SWAT-like police forces to perpetuate across America, a militarized police force. In every instance, somebody in the public eye who's there to make a statement about trying to fight for their rights or fight against the government, in every aspect, they are beaten down beyond. I mean, it's the same thing as the mafiosos breaking your leg if you don't pay them back on time. They make an example so you walk around the neighborhood with your cast on for the next 3 months. So everybody say, hey, what happened to Bobby? Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think he didn't pay up. Oh, really? I better go hawk my watch, man, and go pay up. So, I mean, Waco, look at it. Look at Ed and Elaine Brown, which was the Ed and Elaine Brown thing was all around the GCN network. They were tax people. It was a big concert down at their house. Everybody's down there. Thought they were going to be doing something. They were doing something good and all this, and then it pretty much turned into a scene that ended up getting broken up with helicopters and all kinds of stuff. And Ed and Elaine Brown ended up in jail. And everybody that milked that shit, people milked Ed and Elaine Brown for hours and hours and hours and hours on shows. And as soon as they disappeared off into prison, they just find somebody else to talk to or to talk about, find some other thing. And these things are just turned into these flypaper operations where you roll in, you tune in, you can't untune out because now you can't listen to the mainstream because you find out you can't watch TV. Meanwhile, the rest of the world's going on watching TV. I mean, just because you're not doesn't mean anybody else isn't. They're all watching TV, and guess what? They believe what the TV says. So it doesn't matter how much you think everybody knows what you know about all the stuff that's going on and all the secret, nasty, crappy stuff that everybody thinks they know is true. Nobody else knows about it, man. And now it's to the point where if you start bringing any of that stuff up, you're going to be thrown into this bin of crazy people. Because the mainstream talking points coming out since the first video that Frontline put out on election day was the rise of the right, of the extreme right. So they're already positioning the social engineering to pigeonhole conservative people that supported a president they believed in as extreme white extremists, supremacists.
Well, you know what? That started way before the election even, because several weeks before they started making the statements that they'd have to drag Trump out of the office. And they were setting a platform then that this is the way it's going to be, that no matter what happens, he's not going to accept the answer and they're going to have to drag him out. And it's going to be this real sort of a warish type event and very dramatic. And it was set up that way. So people started, you plant that seed. It's like what we've been talking about, the memes and the planting ideas in our heads. And the red wave, they talked about the red wave, that it's going to look like Trump won, but he didn't really win, and everything that was laid out is now playing out. And what happens is no matter what somebody believes, there is confusion. I think even if you really, really believe something and you hear something else, if you have an open mind at all, if you have a logical mind at all, you're going to want to hear it and think it through. And that is confusing. And it's kind of torturous to us emotionally. And I think that that's a lot of the plan.
And if all you get is a one-sided view, and you've put yourself in a position where it's like, you don't even listen to any of the other stuff. Like, you don't even go listen to what the liberal people might be saying. Like it, and so the idea is that you're clouded, not even knowing what. Don't you think it's important? I'm just saying, for rational thought, it's important to know what the other side thinks about you and what you're doing and what you're all about.
Absolutely. Yes, and I do listen, but I think I'm one of the few people who does, or who maybe can even kind of stomach it, taking that much time or putting that kind of energy out into hearing two different sides. But we have to start doing that. And even if both sides are being dramatic, even if both sides are not really telling the truth of the situation, as responsible people, as responsible citizens, it's important for us to understand what is happening out there so that we are informed. And we have to make up our own minds, and we'd have to make up our own minds even if we were just listening to one side. But isn't it better to be informed? So yes, Jimmy, I agree with you.
Well, we're being forced into a situation where we're about to go to war with each other. And honestly, one side is going to be upset no matter who wins. We're all going to lose no matter who wins, because the other side is going to be upset and they're going to act out because they have no way to express their voice without acting out. The only people that seem to get any attention are the people that act out. People act out because they're primitive in their ability to communicate, or they have no way to communicate. There's nobody representing the people. Nobody's going to do our work for us, man. And now, the only thing, let's just pray. Seriously, coming up on the break. I'm Jimmy. It's Into the Microcosm. We're talking about a few things today. We're taking a look at the situation. Taking a look at a possible social engineering campaign that put us in a situation where we went back to the left-right paradigm. We started to believe again. We started to believe. We became skeptical, and then we became believers. And then we sat around waiting. Right back.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Travels to Earth through the rainbow crystal bubbles from the furthest reaches of space and time, across the dimensions, through the elements, and in harmony with the colors of the universe. Through her mastery of abstract stream of consciousness malapropisms, she weaves a web of comic, satiric, cosmic conversation. Her subjects can range from Norman, the goose next door, to astrology and earth changes, and into the deep recesses of the soul matrix. She holds a wealth of knowledge on herbs, plants, and astrology. Join Mona and her guests on Adventures of a Feral Hippie as she touches the earthly radio waves 5 days a week at 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Studio B at Revolution Radio.
Galactic Interstellar Council on Revolution Radio Studio A, Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Join us as we traverse the starseed paradigm.
Okay, sorry, I had to go get something to drink. So we got about a minute. So, Brandy, we're going to shift over and get going on that stuff. Hey, Lewis, what's going on? What's up, Zoe? What's up, AJ? Oh, shit. Sorry you didn't hear me. Hey, Brandy, get ready. We're going to go on that when we come back. And okay. Hey, Zoe, hey, AJ, hey, Lewis. Let's see who else is over here. Hey, Robin. What's up? Who's else over there? Hey, Lolly. And then that's it. Okay, hey, Corolla. What's going on? I'm glad to see you. I hope you're doing better. Hope you're feeling good. We're super saying prayers for you. So we got to go back. Shot.
Did you get the clip?
I don't. I will in a minute. I'm spun out right now. I gotta do. I gotta go right now because we're already late. Hang on. Mine's Jimmy.
I'm kicking on a million. Yeah. She's never lived like this before. Yeah. She want a ring and my children. Yeah. She's always asking me for more. But I can't lie. No, I kinda like it. Yeah, I can't lie.
It's Revolution Radio. It's into the microcosm. I'm Jimmy. We've been talking about the social engineering that's been going on. Brought to you by, pick your favorite lettered agency, and I'm sure they had a hand in it. Anyhow, let's shift gears because I've become aware of something recently, and I want to bring it to your attention. I don't really hear much about it. I hadn't heard anything about it. I heard about it because of a friend's personal experience, and that's what put me onto it. And so what we're going to be talking about today and right now is black mold, ladies and gentlemen. Now, black mold, I just, I don't ever remember it when I was a kid. I never heard of it. And then all of a sudden I started hearing about it. And then, I heard about it, but it seemed like it was something that happened in some weird places for some reason. It occurred. A guy's pipe broke or some shit like that. He didn't know, and it was growing there or whatever. And then you got to call these dudes. All of a sudden, these guys materialized that knew how to remove black mold. There's these businesses cropping up. Now, mold in and of itself, and I mean black mold, to me, this is almost like, well, let's get into a little bit of it here, Brandy. Why don't you come on in? Let's tell people a little bit about it, and because I have sort of something I want to bring up, and we'll do it after we get into the information. I'm gonna go set up the clips that you put together, and but why don't you bring people up to speed if they're not really sure on black mold? Let me see here. Yeah, so the stuff in here, there's no links. I'm not really sure. Yeah, so that's okay. But do you have you want to send me those links? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, so where did black mold come from? I mean, where did it all of a sudden crop up from? I don't know. But Brand, if you send those clips over, I'll get them going. And but there's 11 symptoms of being affected by black mold. And let me see. Let me just dig this up while you're getting those clips.
Sure.
Hang on a second. So there's 11 symptoms of this. Hang on a second.
There you go.
All right. Oh, that's back in your other thing. Okay, let me go back over there, and boom. Hang on a second. Go back over to your other call. For some reason, it's not letting me go there. Can you drop it in here? In the call.
Which
in the
drop
call?
It where?
In the call we're on, because you gave it to me, but it's in your other thing, and I can't for some
reason.
reason.
Put it in the Revolution, in the Rev Radio one. Is that the one you wanted in?
Yeah, that's the one I wanted. Okay, I got it. So,
yeah, got it. Okay.
Okay, here we go. So let me boat this up. So
yeah,
do you have the 11 symptoms that are just right there at your fingertips, or no?
I found a compilation of symptoms. I never found anything that specifically said 11.
All right, well, stand by. Okay, go ahead and here I got this. I got this clip ready. Let's just go with this.
Okay.
Here we go. Ready?
Got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, black mold, and I'll get the 11 symptoms.
Dax here with Ancient Medicine Today. So excited you're here with me. So today we're going to be talking about black mold symptoms and natural remedies to help cleanse your body of mold. And I'll tell you what, mold toxicity is a major issue for a lot of people, especially those that live in humid environments or have moved into older homes. And you may not realize there is black mold or mold in your air ducts. They can be in your basement. They can be growing almost anywhere within your home. And so I'm going to talk about how to really detox your body and what are some of the biggest symptoms that you might be struggling with a mold-related problem. Also, hey, help me spread this message. There are so many people, hundreds of thousands of people, that have mold-related symptoms that are causing major health issues in their body. So take a minute right now.
Okay, so I'm going to take a minute right there. I'm going to pause this dude. And here are the 11 signs of a mold illness. So are you ready? So here it is. See if any of these apply to you, ladies and gentlemen. Brain fog, memory problems, trouble focusing, headaches. That's one. Number 2, fatigue and weakness. Number 3, unexplained muscle cramping, aches, pains in the joints, persistent nerve pain. Numbness and tingling, number 4. Number 5, eye problems like red eyes or light sensitivity. Number 6, asthma and sinus problems like cough or shortness of breath. Tremors and vertigo. Number 7, digestive issues like change in appetite, diarrhea, nausea, and abdominal pain. Number 9, metallic taste in the mouth. Okay, number 10, temperature regulation or night sweats. Number 11, excessive thirst and increased urination. Okay, you can see a variety of the symptoms are quite large and can overlap with other conditions. See a practitioner if you have any of the underlying conditions that may go along with mold and mold toxicity. It's not always food we eat, but it can be the air that we breathe that makes us sick. So, Brandy, a lot of people have a lot of these 11 symptoms just in every single day life going around. I hear about people complaining about a lot of these things. And people end up at the doctors, and the doctors never once even look at anything related to mold toxicity. And I just want to say, from a biological warfare perspective, this looks like a very interesting agent that can be dispersed and spread around pretty easily without any kind of, you don't have to have a big military to do something like this, and that's what makes this so heinous. And the fact that I heard Clyde Lewis talking about some exercise where they were using fungus as a transmission device for some sort of chest type cold or coughing situation. Let's listen to a little bit more of this dude.
That share button, click that like button. Help me spread the word on
Click that share button and that like button. So let's get into this here, Brandy. Ready? Here we go.
As medicine. Let's dive right in and talk about, where does black mold hide? Well, number one, in high cellulose content surfaces. So, these are certain things within a home, tend to be even sometimes drywall, in between drywall sheets or high cellulose content surfaces is where black mold can hide. And then air ducts is another big one. And then high moisture spots where there's a lot of moisture. This is why, people that live in Florida or in the South or even anywhere in the North, but they tend to have more of these issues with mold growing within the home. But again, if there's a lot of moisture in a home, they can also hide, as we talked about, in the HVAC or air conditioning systems. High moisture spots is an area you can look for black mold. And then also inside you, that's right, inside your body is a place where black mold or mold can hide and start to live and can cause major symptoms there as well. In fact, I had a mentor who I worked with, a doctor now, who actually came down with mold poisoning, and it gave him the symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome, was tired all the time, and he thought, hey, maybe I've just been working too hard. But it went on year after year after year, and he realized, hey, mold was one of his issues, along with heavy metal toxicity from when he had his amalgam fillings removed. It was a combo with what he struggled with. But here's some of the symptoms that you might have, and if these symptoms are reoccurring month after month after month, it could be as the result of having mold in your body or being exposed to mold on a regular basis.
So most people, they don't really think much of it, really. I mean, we don't think much of mold. I know I don't, because I don't see it. If I don't see it, I'm not thinking about it. But maybe it's growing somewhere. Like maybe there's a drip under your plumbing in your house, and it's dripping down. You don't know about it. It's under the house. Underneath your house is a whole giant black mold farm just growing and blowing up into your air ducts and blowing into your house, and pretty soon you're infested with it, and everybody's got it. I mean, the dogs are coughing, everybody's had it, everybody's hacking. You know what I'm saying, Brandy? I mean, this is an insidious thing that's going on, and I think it's a lot more widespread than people can even fathom.
Well, let me tell you one place where people have probably run into it on more than one occasion. When you go into an older building, if you go into the restroom and you know how the floor is soft, bingo. That's where your mold is going to grow, that soft surface. I used to direct a preschool that had a soft bathroom floor, and that is what that turned out to be. And it turned out the whole area had black mold in a lot of the buildings just because of the age and because of the climate that we had. And I ended up getting black mold in my lungs. So I'm very familiar with this and the kind of symptoms and the problems that it can cause, and you do not want it. So please do be careful and be aware of the information that we're giving you today, because it can sneak up on you. And this smell of mustiness that you sometimes find when you come into a building, or if you're getting headaches and any of these symptoms, that can be a sign of it. And another thing, believe it or not, if you're getting a lot of sugar cravings, that can be a sign of mold in your body. And that's one of the things that actually feeds the mold. So you have to, as you're looking at how to treat it, which we're going to get into, that's one thing to be very careful of, is your sugar consumption, which of course is a healthy thing to look at anyway. But yes, we're all exposed.
I know,
We
and the
just
thing
need to
is,
become aware of it.
and the thing is that each in as long as we're individual, and we don't get in a group and start asking each other stuff, it seems like it's just happening to us, and we just go, oh yeah, I just don't feel good or whatever. I'm just tired today, or damn, I can't remember, this loss of memory and all this. Maybe it's due to something else, and maybe you could even go to the doctors. And I mean, seriously, when you think about the whole realm in the world of what can be wrong with you, and you come in and you say these 5 things that are going on with you, the chances of that doctor pulling this one little thing out of his ass to say that's what it is and be able to give you the exact thing you need to heal yourself from this poisoning, and then did you clear how you got it in the first place out, or are you just going to get healed and then get sick again? That's the thing.
Right. It's amazing. I don't even know how I got so blessed to have a doctor that knew what to check for, because it made all the difference. And for me, I'd had it long enough that it actually did end up contributing to the autoimmune illnesses that I now have. But had I not known that and not had some treatment, it could have been far worse.
Wow.
So push your doctors, keep asking questions, keep doing research. And they tell you, don't Google, don't look it up, get informed, and then respectfully bring it up to your doctors.
Okay, well, see, I didn't know this about your case. Okay, I didn't know this. But I found that out from a friend of mine, what you're talking about. And that's what made this suspect to me right off the bat. Because I never heard anything about any of this stuff before in my life, about any of these sicknesses that go along with black mold. But the fact that you went to the doctor and he already knew ahead of time, if somebody comes in with this, that, and the other thing, it means they got black mold poisoning. He already knows about it. He must have got some letter. They must have all got a letter that says, hey, if you see these people coming in, da-da-da-da, it's this. And we already have this over here to get rid of it. Trust me on this, man. There's no... How do you just... I know it's a modern world. I know they can test, but you have to have some sort of an idea to where to look. It's not like...
Well, I think in my case, it probably was because of the area that I was in, and they were having a lot of black mold in the area. So I wasn't the first one that had come in like that. But I do understand what you're saying, and I do think that what you're saying also does occur.
All right, well, let's get into this, dude. I'm trying to get to the part right where he's going to get into the what you can do about it. We only got a few minutes left. Here we go.
And depression, and I mentioned a big one is brain fog. If you have any of those symptoms, that can be related to mold toxicity. And by the way, if you've ever or irritated throat lining, chronic coughing on a regular basis, and depression, and I mentioned a big one is brain fog. If you have any of those symptoms, that can be related to mold toxicity. And by the way, if you've ever known anybody or you yourself has struggled with mold issues, let me know that right now here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. I would love to hear from you, because there are hundreds of thousands of people struggling with mold toxicity on a daily basis, and they don't know it. So we're going to jump into how to do a mold cleanse on your body and the top natural remedies to do so. But we are live right now. Help me spread this message. Take a minute right now. Punch.
Okay, so we're not giving you medical advice. This is a channel called, hang on, Dr. Josh Axe. So Dr. Josh Axe is about to tell you with some of the ways you may be able to do this without the help of your friendly neighborhood man in the white coat.
Punch that share button, click that like button. Let's teach the world how to use these natural remedies to heal their body. Because here's what happens. A lot of times when people have mold toxicity, they go into their doctor, their medical doctor, and their doctor will say, after time, they'll say, okay, well, maybe your issue is, hey, here's a medication for this. Here's a medication to treat this other symptom. Hey, here's a medication for headaches. Here's a medication for fatigue. And then they'll say, it's all in your head. By the way, if you've ever had a doctor say that to you or say that to someone you love, hey, let me know that, because that happens all the time. Doctors say, it's all in your head. It's not in your head. There's a reason why you're experiencing some chronic health issues. One of the number one cleansers for cleansing mold from your body is bentonite clay. Now, bentonite clay, I believe, is typically found in Montana, and there are other forms of clay that are fantastic. There are clays in France that are also very effective and around the world. But clay in general, you can tell if you've ever used it, it's very sticky. Imagine that going through your body. It will bind and stick to toxins such as mold in your body, helping detoxify your system. So actually doing a cleanse where you're drinking a lot of water, doing bentonite clay, and then even doing extra fiber, let's say acacia fiber or a certain type of psyllium seed on a regular basis, that can actually help really cleanse your body. Now, bentonite clay, you wouldn't want to do that for over a month in terms of a cleanse, because it'll really can start to back you up and give you constipation if you do it too long. But overall, bentonite clay is a great natural cleanser of the body, especially when it comes to mold. Another one is raw garlic. So we have a combination here where raw garlic, bentonite clay can bind to things. Raw garlic will actually kill off bad yeasts and candida and bad types of funguses and molds that get within your body there as well. Raw garlic contains a compound called allicin, which actually is a potent natural antibacterial, antifungal, so it can help kill funguses in the body in the mold family there as well. Activated charcoal will actually work very similar to bentonite clay, to where it binds the toxins. You know, when somebody comes down with alcohol poisoning, this is what the hospitals will give them. And historically, they give them charcoal, because charcoal will bind to alcohol, bind to all toxins, and help get those out of the body as well. But similar to bentonite clay, even more so, charcoal you'd only want to do for short periods of time, because they actually bind to minerals in your body over time and can cause constipation long term. So charcoal here and there, you know, once a week or for a month-long cleanse you can do, but you wouldn't want to do it long term every day. Oregano, oil of oregano is one of my favorite natural antifungals. You know, oregano is antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, antiparasitic. It is one of the most powerful natural bug killers out there today. So doing oil of oregano, you could do this as part of a 1 week to a 1 month total cleanse. Again, this is actually a very strong herb or an oil, so you wouldn't want to do it over a too long period of time, because it can actually start to irritate your mucous membranes in your stomach over time. If you're doing the oil, if you're just doing the leaf on a daily basis, let's say a teaspoon a day or a teaspoon 3 times a day, you'd be fine. But as an oil, doing it in small amounts is very, very powerful at actually killing off funguses within your body. Green juices. So now if you're going to do a cleanse, what I recommend is doing a cleanse where you do bone broth, veggie juice, and herbal teas. You might
These are all fantastic ideas. You can make your own green juice at your house for almost nothing. I would recommend you visit a dude by the name of Tony Pantalaresco. I think his website's called Beads and something. I can't remember. Just type in Tony Pantalaresco. Plenty of recipes over there that you can make right out of the grocery store. You don't need to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars. This is a thing. I think this is we're going to look more into this. I'm going to look into this from a military aspect in the next few days, Brandy. This has been one hell of a show today, and I am drained. I'm a husk. Before the show, I still had some life in me, but now I'm just a husk of the man I used to be before the show started. I'm getting ready to go take myself a hot bath and feed the dogs. What about you, Brandy?
I think I need to go get some green juice. Doesn't that sound great?
It does sound great. Yeah, and don't forget, the old-fashioned Epsom salts. Make sure you get the plain stuff. Don't get any of the scented and any of that. Just get it and sit in there and absorb the magnesiums and get yourself into that regimen and try to do it as often as possible. Eat some cayenne pepper. I mean, all of these things you can just do. They didn't sail around the world looking for herbs to make their steaks taste better, ladies and gentlemen. The reason they put herbs in food is because food is medicine, and herbs help you to heal. So find a way to do it for yourself. Everybody's got their own style, and we've got our.
And you can use warm herbs too, like cinnamon or clove, if you don't like the spicy stuff. And when you go to clean in your house, use hydrogen peroxide and tea tree oil. It helps to sterilize and kill some of the mold and keep it fresh and clean to help it from building back.
Yep, that's for sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have run out of time. Brandy, thanks for joining me. You can find this show in the archives if you want to, and all you got to do is go over there. And Rev Radio is the username, and Rocks ! Is the password. So as long as you become patrons, they say that the archives will be free. So head on over, become a patron. Revolution.radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio network on the face of the earth, in the ether space and beyond. And let me just say, the Zazzle store is there too, and snail mail down at the bottom of the page. You can send a letter over to Lady Horse and say hello. And if you don't have any money, that's fine. Just send us your prayers. Send us your good energy. Share the station with whoever you wish. And remember, Studio A, Studio B, 48 hours a day. The house that the Nighthawk built. He built a brick house, man. It's a brick house. You can huff, you can puff, but you ain't never going to blow it down. Stay tuned for the Fenton perspective right here. Studio A. My name's Jimmy. It's Into the Microcosm. We'll see you Friday night.
Keep up the hope.
Back to life, back to reality, back to life, back to reality, back to life, back to reality, back to the here and now, yeah. Show me how, decide what you want from me. Tell me maybe I could be there for you. However do you want me? However do you need me? However do you want me? However do you need me? However do you want me? However do you need me? However do you want me? However do you need me? To life, back to the present time, from a fantasy, yes. Tell me now, take the initiative. I'll leave it in your hands until you're ready. However do you want me? However do you need me? However do you want me? However do you want me? However do you want me? However do you need me? However do you want me? However do you need 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 me? I live at the top of the law. No more erosion. There's need a change, a positive change. Look at me hang on the wall. Ever do you want me? Yes. However do you need me? However do you want me? However do you need me?
All right, we're out of there. We are out of there, man. Man, that was a rough one. You still there, Brandon?
That was heavy. It was.
Yeah, it looks like we kept everybody there, though. There's 40 people in the chat room now. Over there.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. I don't know how many of them would listen to the show, though. But we'll see. You never can tell.
No.
All right. Well, looks like it's time to go because I got to feed them dogs. So, Brandy, thanks so much.
Thank you. For all your work. I know it's hard, but keep it coming.
Wait, hang on. What did Dirt Engineer said? He just tested positive for mold at your house.
Oh, wow.
Trippy. Yeah, dude, here's the link to that guy's.
Wow.
Here's the link to that video we just played.
That's quite a quinky dink. Oh,
I'm
glad that
telling
we
you.
brought this up, Dirt.
I think it's biological warfare, man. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, if you asked people that you know these 11 questions right here, I bet you people would have 5 out of there, at least half of them.
But you know what? A lot of that also just comes from diet, so it would be hard to tell, and which one goes into the other. It's a mess.
Well, I don't know. The thing about it is
They can test your body for the mold. That's the thing about it.
So the thing is we can, people that listen to the show today can go, if they're feeling some of these symptoms and they think something's wrong and they didn't know and they felt depressed, they went to the doctor, they got an antidepressant. When they weren't, when they got an antidepressant, they weren't depressed because they were depressed. They were depressed because of the symptom that they were getting from the mold.
That's what a lot of people, why they're on antidepressants, I believe. They're not being treated for the problem. It's just a Band-Aid.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. If this becomes more in the public eye, maybe, like I said, it's just a small show. The amount of people that heard, a couple thousand maybe.
Yeah, Robin just brought up something I had hoped to bring up, but there wasn't time. The fact that we all pretty much have parasites in our body, too, and you can't hardly get a doctor to test for that. They don't want to talk about it.
No. I mean, there's a million of these things, but I'm just telling you that this struck me as something funny because that doctors already knew. They already knew that to look for this, and out of everything that they could look for, that they already knew to look for this, and they didn't do it all the time. In other words, maybe 5 years ago, or how long ago did this happen to you?
Oh, this was years. This was back in 1998.
So this is like they knew about it back then.
Yeah, but again, I'm thinking it had to do with the area that I lived in.
Yeah, but since then, this black mold is everywhere now. It used to only be in certain places, man, certain states and stuff. It wasn't like everywhere. Now it's everywhere.
Also could have, not to debunk your theory completely, but it can also have something to do with the wood and how wood's treated and the availability of certain types of woods and the quality that they're using. So,
well, it could just be that's a perfect place to put it if that's where you're going to put it somewhere.
It sure could be, and it's under the guise of that. I mean, who knows?
I'm just
peasy,
saying,
right?
I live in the redwoods and I live in the oaks. So where I live, I have redwoods and oaks. So it's damp, and then the leaves come down, and there's this already thing up here when you live in the mountains. There's already this thing that happens to people because of the leaves and it's moist. So there's like oak lung or whatever. Man, you can get this thing from it. I'm just saying. Anyways, there's lots of people have a common stuff wrong with them across the spectrum, and there may be more to it than meets the eye. But it seems to me like, from what I'm hearing, at least about this stuff, wearing that mask actually
make it worse.
It works for this.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It works for this, but so that's funny that because anything can ride on this fungus. You know what I mean? See what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, I'm gonna look into this from a military perspective and go on Friday see what I come up with. Maybe I'll do something on it in between. Like I'll come on here tonight later and do something on it, just to get all my thoughts down on video. All right, Brady, we gotta go. I gotta go feed these dogs. They're circling me.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. I'll be back later, for sure.
Well, did you say that you will? As a flag down your right, I guess I shaped up alright tonight. And blood rushed through my skin. I said we'll do this again, at a time and a place you'd like. But my words fall short too hollow. Right at your feet I'll follow up. Make sure I'm set to get some. And you said, well, how's tomorrow? For movies, that's friends no more though. Last time I checked, you get none. You get none. So for the last time it's fine, I'd love to do as you like. You hesitate, I'll sit satisfied. It heats up and kicks in into my head once again. I guess I turned up or something right. But my words fall short too hollow. Right at your feet I'll follow up. Make sure I'm set to get some. And you said, well, how's tomorrow? For movies, that's friends no more.